Today we'll witness a reenactment of two historic meetings which happened in this very room at the beginning of the American Revolution. On April 20th, 1775, Colonel Theophilus Cotton, in command of the Plymouth County Minutemen and militia, called a meeting of his key officers, including his second-in-command, Lieutenant Colonel Briggs Alden, who hosted the Council of War here in this room. Their dilemma: for 4 months, 100 redcoats under the command of British Captain Nesbitt Balfour had been stationed in Marshfield to protect the many loyalists there. They camped on the farm in Marshfield's wealthiest Tory or supporter of the king, Squire Nathaniel Ray Thomas. When the battles of Lexington and Concord took place, the Minutemen in this area did not head to Boston, but instead gathered in Marshfield and Duxbury, ready to confront the redcoats at the Squire Thomas estate. Colonel Cotton had a decision to make: attack or wait. There is no record of exactly what was said at this meeting, but through careful research we can surmise how the debate might have transpired.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your presence at this council today. Our thanks to Colonel Alden for opening his house to us and welcoming us in with food and libations. Need not remind you that in today's council we meet under grave circumstances, and it is vital that we proceed with caution, that more bloodshed not be shed.
Colonel Cotton, sir, the redcoats have spilled blood unjustifiably not only 24 hours ago in Concord and Lexington. Why do we sit here and talk?
Captain Wadsworth, the blood of every man here runs hot with that news and the thought of our countrymen being slain yesterday. Every patriot among us thinks of revenge today. I know there are hundreds under my command who would demand blood before the sun sets, and it is for that very reason that we must be cautious and careful today. We must temper our passions until we fully understand the situation. Are we agreed, gentlemen?
Yes. Aye, sir.
Very well. Colonel Thomas, you've just arrived from Marshfield. What can you tell us of the disposition of the regulars there?
Colonel, my farm is but a mile from the garrison. A. Thomas has made Captain Belford's redcoats most comfortable in his estate. I can hardly tell you I'm ashamed to call him kin. If there are any flaws in the Thomas family, they're all born on his line, not mine.
Wish the mob would have caught that Tory wretch last fall and tied him.
Indeed they might have, if not for Mrs. Thomas, so graciously welcoming the crowd at her doorstep, while her coward husband was able to flee on horseback across the marsh.
Well, now Squire Thomas sits back in his estate, with 100 of the king's own to serve as his bodyguards, as well as his loyalist friends. For 4 months I've heard them musket drills and then seen them marching to and fro on the country road. I can tell you no man among us is more eager to have them gone than I. However, I agree with Colonel Cotton. We must not rush to bloodshed.
Well said, Colonel Thomas. With that in mind, has Captain Balfour and his troops made any movements? Any suggestion that he intends to fight us?
My men have been in careful observation of Captain Balfour's company. They have been in a general state of readiness, but no movement. And St. Alden has been lately part of one of the patrols near the position.
Indeed, my son has traveled a great distance to be here, Colonel. He was in Rhode Island yesterday when the news arrived.
A long day's ride indeed, Ensign.
Yes, Colonel, but my place here is at home during this crisis.
And we are grateful for that. Tell me what you saw.
Well, sir, they have 2 cannon, field pieces, 4-pounders, I believe. As Colonel Thomas states, they made no demonstration, but have strong positions on the property. It's commonly known that they have plenty of ammunition to spare.
Tell them about Cato.
Oh, yes, right. Last night, Colonel, while we were scouting Squire Thomas's farm, one of his servants, Cato, approached us. He seemed to be looking for our sentries. He said that Captain Balfour had sent him to determine what our numbers were. I told him to tell Balfour that we had a great host and that we were coming after him and we would fight like the devils. Cato said that he planned to say so anyways.
Well done. And what did Cato have anything to say about Captain Balfour's temperament? Again, is he willing to fight?
He couldn't say, sir. Only confirmed that they were well armed and well fed. They're ready, sir.
Very well. And what of our troops, Ensign? Do you have any report on our numbers present?
I do, sir. The Marshfield Company, consisting of 42 men, is positioned at Colonel Anthony Thomas's farm. Captain Bradsford's Duxbury Company is here with 23 men. Captain Wadsworth Company of 19 men is present in Marshfield, as well as Captain Abraham Hammett's Plymouth Company of 57 men. They're here. My apologies. Wadsworth Company of 19 men. Benjamin Wadsworth. Captain Pellingsworth Wadsworth Company of 31 men is at Marshfield.
I should mention also 2 companies from Plymouth that are on their way, Captain Harlow's and Lieutenant Churchill's.
Messenger has reported recently that companies are on the road mustering from Plimpton, Rochester, Wareham, Hanover, possibly Barnstable, at least a dozen other companies.
We'll have 500 before noon.
You assume so, Captain. Never mind those on their way. Who are actually present here today?
At last count, 172, sir.
172 untrained militia against 100 of the king's soldiers, with 2 field pieces.
Look, our numbers swell with every minute. We can outnumber them.
It's not just the king's troops who must be dealt with. Do not forget the loyal inhabitants of Marshfield and how they joyfully received the redcoats in January. They have only grown more emboldened since. Balfour has brought weapons for them. We might face not only 100 of the king's soldiers, but 300 armed loyalists of Marshfield.
Nonsense, Colonel Alden. There are many more patriots in Marshfield than Tories. And those loyalists probably don't have the courage to stand against their countrymen.
So you say, Colonel Thomas.
So I have seen with my own eyes. When Balfour called for the loyalists to drill, there was barely 12 that came up to arms. 12. And if there was chance of bloodshed, I bet it would have been far fewer.
The inhabitants of Marshfield just voted in February to extend their thanks to General Gage for his intervention in the form of redcoats. Their thanks to General Gage for protecting them against so-called insults, abruptnesses of their neighbors.
Not nearly abuse enough.
My point, Colonel, being that loyalism is rife in that town. I think you discount them too quickly. At least 300 Mansfield citizens have signed Loyalist Association Pact. They're planning to take up arms with the redcoats, perhaps more. And that's just been the rouse to take up arms by yesterday's bloodshed. What makes you think, Colonel Thomas, that Mansfield's Tories are not willing to do the same?
I have seen no sign of it, and we have been watching. Are you suggesting, Captain Hammett, that we delay to unfounded fears of loyalist combatants no one has seen?
I simply have no desire to see our neighbors butchered. There's one thing to fight against a trained army like the British, but we're talking about firing against our neighbors, unjustly or unwise as they are to take up arms with the loyalists. We're still talking about firing upon our neighbors and our citizens.
We must not rush. I did not suggest that we feel. Yes. I did not suggest we fear an imaginary regiment of loyalists.
Here, you must agree it is time to act, Colonel Cotton. Surely those regulars are keenly aware of their defeat of their brethren and their withdrawal to Boston. They are no doubt ready to ravage this country with fire and sword. You must take the lot of them prisoner before they are reinforced and distribute their arms amongst our companies.
And their cannon. Ordnance is badly needed to defend our harbors. Let's redistribute the cannons.
Have we any reason to believe that Gage is sending reinforcements to the Marshfield garrison?
None, sir. The provincial army has laid siege to Boston. Gage's attention is occupied.
This is true, Father. Sir, but Admiral Graves commands the sea. He could send reinforcements with relative ease.
Not likely that Gage would spare the men now that he's under siege. Indeed, he is likely to withdraw the Marshfield garrison to Boston if given the time. Perhaps another reason to wait and observe.
What say you, Captain Wadsworth?
I had nothing. Why must we observe? Why not just go? We have the men, we have the numbers, we can outnumber them 2 to 1. If anything, why not go now?
Captain Wadsworth, I cannot agree with you. Blood has been spilt, yes. Our countrymen are murdered, yes. And Gage must be brought to justice for his tyrannical actions. But war, I cannot say that that is what the answer is. I have no orders from the provincial Congress in Concord. I have no orders. No orders, sir. Do you understand? If we decide on our own volition to spill yet more blood because we demand vengeance, are we not just as barbaric as the regulars?
I happen to be in favor of Colonel Alden's proposal. I say we observe another day. Perhaps Congress will send us further orders.
Perhaps. Perhaps. In the name of thy God himself, we will not hasten. We must enlist every possible man and send them forward. Today! I pray you, Colonel Thomas, what say you?
Should this fight happen, it may well be in my fields. I don't hasten to see the bloodshed of my neighbors or perhaps even my family on my land. I say we should wait one more day.
Captain Wadsworth. Sentry, bring Captain Wadsworth back. Your law may be your law in your schoolhouse in Kingston, Captain Wadsworth, but it is not here. My decision is made. Return to your companies. We shall reconvene tomorrow and assess the situation.
So April 20th passed without any shooting from either side. More Minutemen companies arrived in Marshfield and Duxbury as promised, and Colonel Cotton reconvened his officers at the Alden House shortly after dawn on April 21st.
Good morning, gentlemen. Ensign, your report on the enemy's position.
As they were yesterday, Colonel. They've hastily improvised some ditches and fences around Squire Thomas's homestead.
I saw them myself yesterday evening, Colonel. It is nothing. Our regiment could march right across Squire Thomas's farm without any breaking step.
Your optimism is astounding, Captain Wadsworth.
Where do our numbers stand?
Since yesterday, have arrived companies from Plimpton, Rochester, Plymouth, Wareham, and Middleborough, by my count. More are reported on the way.
Not to mention the crews of fishing vessels from several towns, all looking for a fight.
Yes, I saw one such group carrying knives and cudgels, hardly armed for a fight with the regulars.
Indeed, and most of them full of rum.
We can make use of them.
I pray that we will not have to.
Our count presently, Ensign.
521, sir.
We outnumber him 5-1, Colonel.
Yes, thank you, Captain. I can manage the calculation.
Sorry. We cannot possibly want a more favorable situation, Colonel. By evening, we'll outnumber them 10-1.
But surely Captain Belfort must know this. It would be suicide for him to engage. I am sure that he's probably arranged his escape by now. Within a few hours, we will probably see him getting on a boat for Boston.
We cannot allow it. Press him and he'll surrender, by God. I'd wager my life on it. He'll give up without firing a shot.
Yes, but are you willing to wager the lives of your men on it, sir?
Father, begging your pardon. There is an opportunity here. I must agree with Captain Wadsworth. When will the prospect again present itself that we can take 2 of the king's cannon, possibly without a drop of blood being shed, and 400 stands of arms and muskets?
Now here's a military-thinking man.
What are you suggesting, Judah?
If I may, Colonel Cotton, advance the regiment close, but not within musket range. Let him see our numbers, and then we send a representative under a flag of truce and negotiate his surrender.
You advance the regiment into open fields, and you'll be prey to their field pieces. I must point out that most of us are veterans of war and have faced the cannon before, but most of our troops have not. I fear that after the first cannon shot, they will all break and run.
He won't fire. If Balfour orders one shot, he will doom his men. We would kill and capture every last one of them.
I truly don't believe that will be necessary. Balfour is an experienced officer. He's got a sterling reputation. He would listen to reason. Colonel, I tell you, I think we can achieve this without harm to anyone. And we have a victory to raise morale. The army surrounding Boston would wonder to hear of it.
Colonel Thomas?
Ensign Alden's reasoning is sound. I believe Balfour would surrender.
Let's see you, Colonel Alden.
I concur.
Any objections? Speak now. Very well. To your companies, we will advance the regiment. March your companies to Colonel Thomas's farm immediately. There you will receive my instructions through Ensign Alden as to the line of battle. Let Balfour see how outnumbered he is, but let me make it very clear, Captain Watts, we will not advance and engage. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Captain Wadsworth?
Understood,
Very good.
Colonel.
To your companies then.
The Plymouth County Regiment advanced on Squire Thomas's farm as planned, almost as planned. Captain Wadsworth eventually grew so impatient that he advanced his company without orders within firing range, but no shots were fired. Captain Balfour had been busy arranging his escape. By noon, 2 sloops anchored off of Brant Rock in Marshfield, and Balfour's men embarked for Boston. There was no Battle of Marshfield, but had the Council of War gone differently, there might have been. It was a truly historic moment that took place in this very room.